I've
No.
recorded. Hello, everyone. Well done to those people. Definite bonus to those people who've survived the marathon session and stayed with us throughout the course of the morning. Big well done, big pat on the back to everyone who's still with us. We'll just give everyone a couple of minutes. There's barely long enough to take a comfort break between the sessions, is there?
Can I ask a quick question? Just an administrative one.
Of course you can, Neil.
Will the previous conference that was online, a couple of days later, you very kindly sent out links because it's the mud style sessions that are back to back. Will that be the case with this
all our sessions this morning have been recorded, and they will all be available on our library of recordings on our website. Everything is there, all available, and we'll certainly be drawing people's attention to it. But actually, you can visit our library at any time you like. Our library gets bigger by the week and month as we add more to it. Everything is there. It doesn't age.
They're all on our YouTube channel.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
I've just put a link in the chat as well for our website. Where you'll find
them.
That's
brilliant.
Thank you. Okay, now we only have a whistle-stop tour. It's been a tremendous morning. I've been on, as I think you all have, we've all been on, a whole raft of sessions from our CEO, David Arden, giving us a keynote address about his career. Seems like a while ago now. It was at 9:30 this morning. Right through various sessions, hearing from, being inspired by other people who've made journeys and taken steps themselves. And some excellent tips and advice from various other speakers, including Melanie Pearl, one or two others. This is kind of a little sort of wrapping up session, which gives people the opportunity to ask any questions that have occurred to them during the course of the day, or any questions about anything they've heard of in any of the other sessions, or just raise any issues that you have. The finest brains in Work Avenue on this call. I can see my colleagues Melanie, who many of you have seen already, Joanna Sadie, our head of business, who some of you may have been in her session before, Jeremy Bond, who is the director of Wage, which is our social enterprise. I can see Richard and Hannah Dehaan, who are our business advisors, Ali Garfinkel, who looks after some of our client liaison, various other members of my colleagues, and so many of you as well. If you have a question, do please either unmute yourself and ask. We're a group that I think can support that, or pop it in the chat, or message privately any one of us. I have some questions already that people have already sent to me first of all. So we'll just see where we go with all of that. Now, Neil, you've raised your hand. Does that mean you have a question?
I do. So
okay, well, let's start with your question then, Neil.
It's for all the work. It's for any of the Work Avenue.
You ask the question. I'll probably direct it to the person who I feel can best address it.
I've been doing a lot of research as part of my job search, and I've come across a company that specialises in talent acquisition strategies. And what their articles have been saying is that the future of work is very much focused on a hybrid between being in the office and at work, and moving much more towards skills rather than job roles. So it's what skills and how people think and how they adapt and take on new information, than as opposed to this is the role and this is the role you're going to be in for the next 2 to 3 years. Are you seeing that on the ground, that is actually changing? And if you are seeing it, which sectors are you seeing it in?
That's a good question. Who would like to address that one first? Melanie, do you have any thoughts on it?
Thanks, Neil. So just to check, I understand. So you're after sort of whether jobs are more involved and there's a lot more research included in the roles.
It's more the actual shift in. So when talent acquisition people, when internal HR people are talking to the hiring managers, and the hiring managers are buying into the progressive ideology of we should be looking for people who have skills, who we can build, who we can take on board, and we can take them through their employee journey to retirement, but we can redeploy them and retrain them and reskill them as the needs, depending on their own need.
Okay.
How many companies are you seeing taking on that type of ideology as opposed to the traditional one? We have a job, we need someone to do it, someone leaves, we get someone else.
Okay.
So like talent pooling and then reskilling, and so you can actually buy into that company, and they become more or less like your family. You care about them and you move forward with them.
Okay, yeah, no, I understand. So yes, I mean, I think companies are having to be much more agile in their thinking. They're having to think, okay, how are we going to fill vacancies now? I don't know whether they can always do what you're suggesting. That might be the wish list, but it doesn't necessarily happen, because actually, for the first time in many, many years, if ever, it's actually an applicant's job market. So as much as they might want that, and they might be doing that because once they've got somebody, they want to keep them and they want to progress them through the organisation, which is good. But actually, it's not so easy to get people who can do everything. And I think also companies have had to cut down on the number of employees they take. So sometimes they need people who are multi-skilled, so they might do that. But I do think, I wouldn't say it's universal. I think some companies are trying it, but I don't know whether it's actually always going to work.
Neil, thank you for getting us started. Great question.
Sorry, can I just add something?
Yes,
small to
go
this?
ahead. This is Yael Solomons, by the way.
Hello, everyone. I speak to all of the employers who advertise vacancies with us, so maybe I can just add one or two things to that. I think it depends very much on the size of organisation you're talking about. Where some smaller employers or medium-sized employers, which we tend to deal with, might sometimes look for people who can do a more wide-ranging role and grow in the business in a more sort of flexible way, whereas some large companies might look for people who would take on quite defined roles. So that also comes down to what sort of culture you like. Same thing I would say about your point with regards to working at home and working in the office. What we're seeing generally is larger businesses are more open to the hybrid style of working and more set up for it. Smaller companies where they maybe have, 5-6 people, want people to be in the office so they can all work together. So a lot of it's about what type of role and organization you would work for, as much as, where the research was done. So it very much varies.
Yes. Thank you for that point as well. Any other questions? Some people have pre-submitted questions in advance, which I have here, but before I get to those, are there any questions that anyone else has at the moment?
Can I ask a question, please?
Of course you can.
I've been in the same, thank you. I've been in the same business for like over 30 years and risen to kind of like director level, looking to change. Probably because, and I know I don't want to use it as an excuse, but my business is very ageist. So probably looking to take my experience somewhere else and use it elsewhere. So I'm very well connected in my own sector, or the sector that I've been working in for years, but I don't necessarily have a network in any other sectors. How can I go about trying to sort of build things like that and getting across to people like what I've achieved and what skill base I have that I could help their business?
That's a great question, and the whole networking thing is raised so often. Joanna, if I could ask you to kick off on sort of building networks, if you don't mind.
So first of all, Work Avenue run 2 networking workshops. In fact, next week we've got the Networking to Grow Your Business workshop, which is on face to face in person. And I don't know if Richard, you can remember when the networking for employment workshop, but we is the next one is, but we have an excellent, if I say so myself, networking mapping tool, which can really help you identify who your contacts are and how to kind of reach out to them, because we see networking as in two ways: networking using kind of your own contacts, and then maybe networking going to an event and meeting people that way, or networking using LinkedIn. And the training course, the workshop, sorry, will definitely help you with both. But I think, Jackie, you will be significantly more connected than you think you are, just using your own personal contacts. So either I'd suggest come onto the workshop or book a one-to-one with one of the employment team if you want to kind of network to find a job, and they'll be able to help you with that. But we've got a really good kind of mapping tool that can help you.
Thanks, Jo. I mean, what I would say,
Thanks.
Jackie, is that obviously I don't know the nuance of exactly what you've been doing, what you hope to do next, or maybe there's options for that. But either way, the more, there is a basic rule, and this has come out so strongly from all the speakers that we've had during the course of the morning. The more people you talk to, the more questions you ask. Even if you think you're going up blind alleys or you make a prejudgment, that person can't possibly help me or they won't know. But just ask, talk, and things, the fog lifts, the mist lifts, and pathways become clearer and knowledge becomes greater, and a contact will beget another contact, and so it goes on. Just keep talking to people, but obviously for more nuanced advice relative to exactly what you have been doing and what you want to be doing, talk to any of us. You know how to reach any of us. By the way, for me and my colleagues at Work Avenue, all our email addresses, even if you don't know what they are, they're all on our website. So you don't even have to remember addresses. Just go to the team page on our website and you will find out weird and wacky stuff about all of us. But much more importantly than that, you'll find out how to reach any of us. We are very, very approachable. If you email us, guess what? We will email back. So yeah, please do that.
Thank you. I just booked yesterday actually to come to the called Coffee
Cake and Career.
I think it was the cake that got me there, or maybe it was a coffee too. But I have booked
that was a good idea
to come to one of those on the 1st of December. But I don't know if that's going to be, that day or session is going to be meaty enough for what I'm actually looking for.
And without knowing, we don't know either. But what I would say is that is a fabulous session. This is a brand new session for anyone who is looking for their next opportunity, their next job. We've alluded to it a couple of times this morning that really the jobs market is burgeoning at the moment. It's very opportunistic. It's really so much going on in the big wide world, but very much in Work Avenue's world as well. We have, well over 100 vacancies consistently all the time now. We have so much opportunity and we want to meet people. We want to see you, to talk to you face to face, that good old fashioned way, over a coffee, a slice of cake if we're feeling that it's a good day for a slice of cake, and when is not a good day for a slice of cake. And actually talk to you about the jobs that we've got, understand more about who you are, what you're looking for, and literally direct you down the pathway of any jobs that might be suitable for you. We have these jobs waiting. Spread the word, talk to your friends, contacts. This is going to be an in-person event. We're going back to, face-to-face meeting and greeting, and we're quite excited about that. But sometimes that can feel quite daunting, walking into a room where we haven't done that so much lately. So bring a friend if that makes you feel a little bit more confident, or just a bit more Dutch courage or whatever. So bring a friend, come along, and we're here to help. That's called Coffee, Cake and Career. You'll find it on our events page on our website, along with all our other workshops. And as if by magic, someone's put a link to it on on the chat.
The networking workshops and the coffee, cake and career. As you're talking, I'm just putting
yes, excellent.
the website as well.
So that's great. That would be fantastic.
Thank
Any
you
other
very much.
questions? Thank you, Jackie. Any other questions in the room today before I go to some of my pre questions that people have submitted to me? Okay, I'm going to go because I've got actually quite a lot of questions here. And someone has asked, is it worth applying for a job if you feel you don't have a career history that supports that job pathway, but you do feel that you've got the skills to do it nevertheless? A lot of people see jobs, and sometimes we actually say to ourselves, that job's got my name on it, is how we say. But sometimes we don't feel we've done it before, and should we go ahead and apply for it? I don't know. Yael, what do you think? You manage our placements. You're our placements manager, so you see this. You must see this all the time.
Yes, I do. Thanks, Emma. Well, the first thing I would say is just to repeat something Melanie said very quickly, which is that the job market at the moment is very, very buoyant, which means when I'm speaking to employers, they're telling me they're finding it harder to fill their jobs, finding it harder to recruit the type of people they want in those roles. Now, from a candidate's perspective, that means that you obviously have a better chance in this type of market of securing a job, even if you haven't done it before. So that's the first thing. You should look at how the market is at any one time, and at the moment it is good. Now, from there, I'd say you need to try and make some sort of common sense assessment as to whether it's worthwhile applying for the role. So what I mean by that is have a look at the job, have a look at the job spec, the person spec, what is the employer asking for in terms of experience, skills, qualifications, interest. If you feel you meet a sufficient number of those things, so we could be talking 70-75%, okay, and there's no massive gaps, and you like the look of the job and you feel you could do it well, you can put together a compelling argument as to why, then I would say go ahead and apply for the job and see what happens. Okay, now we never know who else is applying, so if you meet 70% of the criteria and everybody else who applies meets 80%, the chances are you're not going to get an interview. But if you meet 70% and some people meet 50, 60, 75, then your chances are much better. So the point of the initial application is to get you to the interview. Try and match your application as closely as possible to what the employer is looking for, so they can see that you can do the job and you want this job. Talk about your transferable skills, talk about your interest, do your best to shape your application in that way. And then it's in the hands of the employer as to what will happen at the next stage. But definitely have seen many times people who don't necessarily have the right experience, as much experience as others, getting to the interview and then getting themselves the jobs. So it's definitely worth a try if in the round you feel that it makes sense.
Can I just add to that? Yeah. So also, if you feel that you keep seeing the same jobs and you're thinking, I still don't have the skills and experience that I really need for this role, that's the time to start thinking, how am I going to get that skills and experience? And whether that's upskilling and getting some training, or it's doing some voluntary work to try and get those skills, it's important to consider them, not just to think, oh, hopefully they won't notice that I haven't, that I've got those gaps. If you can't get to the 70% that Yael's mentioned, then that might be the time to think of other ways of getting there.
And just one more thing, very quickly. Sorry, Emma.
Good.
Sometimes people have got loads of skills and loads of transferable skills, loads of experience, albeit from a different sector, but they don't put that well enough. They don't put that over well enough on the CV and in the cover letter. So sometimes it can be literally a few tweaks on the CV, adding a few skills in a noticeable place on the CV, and of course we can help you with all of that. So don't let the CV and the cover letter stop you from getting to where you want to go. If you do think you have got the skills, do reach out to us. We'll help you with that.
Lovely, thank you. I have another question here that someone says, a lot of people choose or seem to choose to go down the freelance consultant pathway as their second career. What are the pros and cons of this? Jo, this is probably one for you, I'm guessing.
Yeah, thank you. So interestingly, from the last session that we had, where people went from employment into opening up their business, I would say both of them felt that they were able to have a better balance, that they were able to kind of, it was down to them, their own destiny, to be able to kind of create their own business and create a career without, and being a bit more autonomous to be able to run that. So I would say that if you have the expertise, you've had long careers. So Caroline Morris, who came from a banking career in compliance, has now set herself up as a kind of compliance governance consultancy. She had the expertise to be able to carry on as a consultant. But I'd say it's the finance, and Mark highlighted this, our other speaker, that the financial viability is really, really important for you to establish whether you can make it work as a consultant, and you can keep the level of financial requirements that you've got having working for yourself that you have if you're just being paid month after month working for somebody else. I would say that's one of the most important things to consider, and it's something that either myself or Kim can really help with. And also thinking, if you've worked in a big company before and you've always had people do things for you, you've got to wear every single hat. When you move to run your own business, you've got to wear the hat that delivers the work. That's number one. You've also got to wear the marketing hat, the sales hat, the admin hat, the finance hat. Obviously, you can outsource a number of those tasks, but you don't have anybody else to do it. So I think there is quite a lot to consider. And another thing that I thought Caroline set out really well in the last session was that you've totally got to be in the right frame of mind to run your own business. It does need resilience, it does need motivation, because you've got nobody else to do it. So if you can't sell yourself, or you lack confidence in promoting your own idea in your business, I would say, or you're very risk averse, then I would say it's probably better to look for a job rather than set yourself up as a business. But if you want to and you've got a great idea, we would be absolutely delighted to help with that.
Brilliant, lovely. I think we've got time for one final question. And it's this one. I'm going to pick this one. I'm sorry if everyone else is disappointed. I'm happy to work in a lower level role, but keep being told I'm overqualified. How do I get around this? Richard, maybe you could help us with this.
Yeah, it is very difficult. I mean, one thing you can do is try to play down your experience on your CV. So rather than, you might have started out with a CV that shows that you were director or head of a department or whatever, to actually kind of play down those job titles, so you can play around with them, maybe put more content on your CV and cover letter related to the jobs you're applying for, rather than the managerial roles that you've had. So that's obviously one thing you can do. It's just about it's just about having the right all-round approach. You don't want to just be saying, oh, I'm very happy to earn less money. What you want to do is convince the employer, whether it's obviously CV, cover letter, and hopefully when you get to an interview, convince the employer that you absolutely love the work that you do. Almost don't focus on, let's say, the managerial or the higher level side of things. Just really focus on the fact that you really like the work, and you always have. And hopefully that, in itself is enough to convince them that you want to do the job. You have to be strategic about how you answer the questions and how you apply. But yeah, I totally appreciate it. It's really not easy to do that sort of thing. I don't know if anyone else has got any other tips.
Well, I just think also it's an easy thing for the employer to say to you, and isn't necessarily the truth of what they mean. So as we've been talking about, at the moment, employers are finding it hard to find the right people. So one would hope that actually that stock answer is going to be a little bit less currently and over the next year. So you might find it happens a little bit less. And an example has just happened in something that we've worked at Work Avenue, where there's been a junior sales role. Somebody was put forward who was definitely actually overqualified and more senior, but this was a temporary role for a few weeks, so they were happy to do it. And actually, at that interview stage, that person was able to persuade the employer as to their benefit, and has just been given a permanent role at a much higher level than the original role was in any case. And she's now going to end up recruiting for the junior level roles that they had. So, I just think that when we're talking about a marketplace that is such that the employers, they really need people now, then I just think maybe that won't happen so much, that actual stock answer, which could be a smokescreen for something else.
Brilliant. That is absolutely excellent. Thank you for that. I'm looking at the clock and my laptop tells me that it's 1:30, which sadly is the end of our Defining Your Second Career event today. Thank you for all of you who've joined us today. Thank you to all our speakers. Thank you to everyone who's come, and I hope the sessions have been informative, interesting, inspirational, and actually I hope they've been enjoyable as well. So much information is available on our website, not least all our events, and you can go to our events tab straight from our homepage, theworkavenue.org.uk. We have some tremendous workshops and events coming up. Fabulous workshop on presentation skills tomorrow. I think my colleague Joe wants to just say something before we sign off now. What is it, Joe?
That was exactly what I was going to say. If anybody wants to come to a webinar on improving your communication and presentation skills tomorrow at 2
o'clock.
Yeah.
So there's that. And we've already mentioned Coffee, Cake and Career on the 1st of December, but there's a whole plethora of workshops and webinars and events and one-to-one advice available. Visit our website and we would be, very, very delighted to assist all of you. Thank you all for joining today. And, we have really enjoyed it too. All the very best to you all. Bye-bye.